Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to all of you. Welcome back to my channel. This is Hemali over here. Today we'll be discussing about Venus, and specifically we are going to talk about what happens when Venus is in retrogression. So as you have all checked my posts, 22nd of July 2023 till your 3rd of September, we are going to see Venus in retrograde motion. So currently, before 22, because I'm making this video, Venus is in the sign of Leo, all right? And I've talked about in my posts what happens when Venus is transiting into the sign of Leo and all of it, right? But in this video, I'll be talking to you about what happens when Venus is in retrograde motion. That means, now what is retrograde? Because I don't know if I've explained it in a long video or not, so I'm going to do that today. I'm going to do it now. Retrograde motion is basically from the Earth's point of view. जैसे कि यहाँ से I'm sitting here, so from wherever you see, you look at the Venus. And by the way, what happens during the retrograde motion is that Venus turns into either a morning or an evening star. Why? Because the light that it's emitting becomes very clear to us during the retrograde motions, and it's a lot of astronomy, by the way, all right, which I'll not get into now. So Venus goes into retrograde motion, so all the planets are orbiting around Earth. Venus is also orbiting around Earth, and when we look from here, it's actually going into the opposite direction, okay, because it's completing its rotation, its rotation, whatever, around the Earth, all right. And when we check from here, it looks like as if it's going opposite. So no planet is actually going in opposite motion, but what happens is that since it's a retrograde motion, so the constellation that it's going over, okay, has an impact. So we have all these constellations, okay. So when you were born, in your natal chart probably you must be having like your Venus somewhere. So let's say you have your Venus in the sign of Taurus, all right, when you were born. But currently in this transition, Venus is going over the constellation of Leo. So Venus is currently, that's why, in Leo. But what will happen when it's retrograde? When it is retrograde, it's going backwards, all right, since whatever movement is taking place up there, and it's going literally opposite to that, in opposite motion and direction to that zodiac, to that particular constellation. So let's say Venus is in Leo, but now it's not going above, it's not going ahead. So it's not moving forward from Leo to Virgo, it's actually going backwards from Leo to Cancer. And that's why when it will be the 6th of July 2023, sorry, 6th of August 2023, you are going to see Venus retrograding into the sign of Cancer. Until 3rd of September is going to be in the sign of Cancer. So what really brings me here to this video is because I don't think so I've really discussed about transits as much. So I really want to do that whenever I can, whenever there's something that pops up that is really interesting in here. And also that I have not really taken my good fair share of time to talk about Venus also on this channel. So I'm going to do a mix of both, because I get a bit greedy when I am sharing information, and I feel like if I can give a little bit more than, you know, just the transit alone. That's what I have in my mind, at least as of now. So Venus is a beautiful planet. If not Venus, we would not be romanticizing so many things in life. If not Venus, we would not be having the pleasure that we seek, the intimacy that we want. And it's not just pleasure that is a bed pleasure, it's like enjoyment, it's fun, it has all the elements of happiness. Venus is our happiness, okay. And as you can see, I'm also wearing rose quartz because I was like, I'll be talking about Venus, might as well like get out my rose quartz and wear it, which is like for Venus. It's a stone for Venus, that's what it is said. All right, so this is all what your Venus is, and now it's going to go into retrogression. But I also forgot to tell you that Venus is, besides love, romance, intimacy, pleasures, all the women in our life, and particularly for males, like wife, girlfriends, romantic partners, not females in general, but specifically if you see in your life, because one is like, there's very generic astrology, and then you've got things that you put into perspective and you personalize it. So when you personalize things, then this is your females and girlfriends and wife. So girlfriend and wife, let's not make it plural. So you've got Venus, but Venus on a very spiritual level, because each planet has a both extremes going on to them. That's what I've observed, and you'll get to know more about each planet as and when I make more videos about more planets. But today, since I'm talking about Venus, Venus has moksha and has maya to it. Now if you know that Venus is considered as the king of all the asuras, of all the evils, of all the very materialistic people, all right. But at the same time, Venus has a vibration of moksha to it. And what is that? Because Venus makes you realize a lot about self-love. Venus is the planet that makes you realize about why you need to love yourself in order to attract good relationships, in order to attract beautiful partners, harmonious relationships, secured relationships. Okay, this is why Venus is also called as the Mrit Sanjeevani. That means something that brings alive from the dead. So the energy that has the potential to bring a person alive from its death. It can be ego death or it can be a literal death. That's why Venus is medicine. Anybody who has a Venus Atmakarka definitely goes into things that brings enjoyment and pleasure to other people. Now depending upon like which particular nakshatra is in operation when in the sign for the planet Venus, it depends upon what you're doing. Are you into like something, and which house also, because the house signification actually plays like a very big role. What happens is that first the planet goes into a zodiac goes into a house, and that's what like makes up the entire energy system in you. That's what it's composed of. So that's why you see many people with a good Venus have gotten into dentistry. A lot of people with good Venus have gotten into the, wow, there's a beautiful bird, have gotten into the field of yoga. They've also gotten into the field of, by the way, yoga is a lot to do with Mars, but at the same time, anything that heals people, medicine. Now, long story short, this is done. So Venus is about having good relationships, because it's the power that you have within, something that you're creating, right? Venus is like, every planet has their 3 nakshatras. So does this particular planet. There's, I think, nakshatra of, I'm forgetting, Rohini Purva or something. One last I'm forgetting. So so you've got 3 nakshatras, and those 3 nakshatras are all about what to create, how to manage, and how to maintain, something like that. So that's what Venus is, and Venus is also our value system. Now this planet has gone into the motion retrograde, and any planet in retrograde motion, by the way, makes you think about makes you think about those areas of life. So in the first 8 minutes of this video, like if you skip the introduction and like right when I hit the part where I was talking about it, whatever these 8 minutes were, I solely spoke about the significations, and now you think about these significations being put into question personally in your life. So what will happen, like in the world astrologically, is something that will maybe bother at the end of this video, but I want you to first think about this from a very, you know, like soul level point of view, because from the soul level point of view, you are going through all these questions about your own value system. You're also thinking about, are these like really my values? Is this something that I really want from life? Is this something that I want from because Venus is liquid, moon is pretty much liquid, but Venus is like your liquid gains, like something that is coming to you. It can come to you in the form of it can be your earning capacity or your values, your self-esteem, self-worth, something that you acquire in this lifetime. That's what Venus is. Okay, so we acquire a lot of things, and that's when astrology starts to get really deep and confusing for people who are amateurs. But for someone who's understanding, who you are there at least to believe that yes, this is something, then you get the point. If there's no belief, then you will not really, like, even if you try to, because you don't believe, it's not really going to, this knowledge you won't be able to understand. Venus is attraction. Venus is like the power to create. That's why Venus is responsible for money, because you acquire money, you do something, and that's what you gain out of it. It's the second natural ruler of the second house. But nonetheless, we also create babies. Okay, so for that we need an egg and we need sperm. So your these Mercury also represents hormones in medical astrology, but very different, related to the brain centers and the nervous system hormones. Venus is your all these sexual hormones, all right? And because egg and your sperms and all of it, that's why some people experience a lot of issues in having babies when their Sun and Venus are in conjunction. Okay, sometimes even when Venus and Mars are in conjunction, other days you could be experiencing, otherwise you could be experiencing problem because you have Rahu Venus, because Rahu is just something, you know, like depending upon the Venus's strength. Ketu Venus also brings problem, you know, like hormonal issues and all of it. Suddenly you're trying to live the best life, but suddenly something happens. But let's say when you do some things about it, like let's say when you know that you have a troubled Venus, either because of the planetary conjunction, or it could be because of the house placements, 6th, 8th, 12th, difficult. Venus in the 5th house, which is the natural ruler of the sun, difficult. So when Venus is put into such troubling positions, either through aspects, planetary conjunctions, or the house placements, then what happens is that you become susceptible to stress. Like Saturn Venus, you're stressed, so it causes you problems in that pattern in your health. And you've got your Venus in let's say, it doesn't matter where it's placed, whatever, however way it's placed, but it's going to bring you, you know, like it will make you susceptible to because Venus is beauty, Venus is eyes, Venus is like your ability to see things, refine things, create things. It puts these things into pressure initially when you're young, and it's not causing you health problems. But when you grow old, it has the capacity to put so much of stress and pressure on you through these energies, that if you are not able to manage it well, you're susceptible, and you're susceptible to problems because of Venus in the body. And what are those problems? Like diabetes, sugar level, insulin, and you know, like PCOD, PCOS and all of it. While thyroid is caused by Mercury, right? So now this Venus is into retrogression, so your health, your finances, your value systems, self-love, and the way you want pleasure and intimacy in this life is now being put into perspective because of, through not because of, but through this Venus retrogression. So this month of like the late July, August, and the just 2-3 days of September is going to be very happening. It's going to be extremely healing, and you are going to feel this healing on a very big level, as opposed to what Saturn does, or as opposed to what other things, because this is the planet of pleasure, this is the planet of fun and happiness, and we are all trying to, you know, like inculcate happiness in our life. So it's a very beautiful planet, and that's why these months are going to be really, you know, happening. And with that being said, Venus is also, yeah, you guys can come near. So Venus is also like your lovers. It doesn't matter which gender you are, right? And because it's a representation of lovers in your life, a lover is a lover, whether an ex or the present one or someone from the future life, well, we don't know, right? So you are going to probably see some people coming from your past life. Okay, someone who's your ex, it didn't work out. If they don't really actually happen to meet or talk to you, it is pretty much possible that you come across them just through weird ways and means, and they cross your mind. Okay. And also every time, like let's say for anybody who just completed their Saturn return for the last 2.5 years, right? That was your 2022, 2021 and 2020 July onwards. So all the way till December 2022. These were your 2.5 years. So people who have Saturn in retrogression, people who had Saturn in Capricorn, now these people are being, whatever Saturn return they completed, their Saturn got matured, they got matured of all these lessons revolving around karma, revolving around your profession, deeds, humanity, right? And your dreams and visions. That's what Saturn are doing, a constant doing. Now this planet matured for them, but now Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius, and it has gotten retrograde from this 15-16 June onwards, and it is going to be in retrograde motion till your 31st of October. So what's happening now? Now what is happening is that all the people who have Saturn Capricorn are being questioned about those 2.5 years. What happened? Saturn return happened, but still there is something that is left. That's why your Venus is looking backwards now. And this Venus is looking backwards and looking at all these 2.5 years. Similarly, when was the last time that Venus went retrograde? So the last time that Venus went retrograde was 2015. It was 2015 of end July till again something similar to August or maybe September, I don't remember, something similar. Okay. And at that point of time, what were you going through at that point of time? Because a similar sort of lesson is also coming in. That's one thing about another thing about Venus in retrograde motion. And the primary things remain is that when you're introspecting, when you're reflecting, you can do it either by journaling, you can either do this through in meditation, but you get the point that we are now reflecting and questioning ourselves about our value system, finances, intimacy, pleasure, relationships, marriage, unionship. What is it that we want from other people? Because unless we fix the first house, the 7th house is of other people ruled by Venus, Libra. The second house is the house of what? The family. the finances and all of those things that I just told you, value system and all of it, the food we eat. So the second and seventh house things have gotten active. Now until unless we fix the first house, we won't be able to really attract a good seventh house. That means good people, good unionships, good partnerships. Until unless we don't fix our second house, we won't be able to have a good eighth house. That means we won't be able to enjoy a good married life, we won't be able to enjoy good joint assets, we won't be able to enjoy a good uh, deep subconscious rest, psychological rest, because we have not fixed our value systems. We are still eating shit food probably. Okay, you are not eating on time. Second house, throat, eating habits, what goes in the mouth. You have not fixed your relationship with the money. How will you ever enjoy the part that we are supposed to enjoy after marriage? Because only when you have your things in straight, you can have something with the other person. Either you can give to the other person who is in your unionship, or you can take from them also, and vice versa, both at the same time. But if it is not fixed, how are we ever going to have that thing in the eighth house? So the eighth house goes screwed, the seventh house matters goes screwed. Okay, if you're a researcher, if you're into occult, if you're into the field of researching, which is like eighth house, and it's not just astrological research, there is like so much going on. So there's like history and what is all that, you know, whatever we dig deep about, so many things you won't be able to do until unless your second house is into place. So the eighth house goes screwed. Eighth house is also is also the money that we earn, unearned money that comes to us, the medical part, the insurance part and all of it, right? So it's quite possible, like when we eat shit, when we don't take care, our value system are all haywired, the eighth house, a medical emergency comes in, an emergency comes in. And because the eighth house, I think I'm done about the eighth house. There was something that I had in my mind, but so why I'm explaining the opposite side of this is because this is where people think that astrology is all a hoopla, because there is no sense to it. This is all just hawa ki baatein, but it's not hawa ki baatein, because when you really see the contrasts, when you really see the other side of the thing, that's when you really truly understand, okay, this exists, I believe in this now. So that's why I explained the antonyms, the opposite sides, and I hope you really enjoyed watching this video. If you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. I try to make my videos short, but this one I couldn't. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, because just like this video, whenever I try to speak upon some transit or some retrogradation or something, whatever, nakshatra transit, whatever, or just some general topics, I try to give in more information, and those videos are long. If you go back and see in the past, those videos are long, wherein I'm giving some bonus extra points. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.